Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at Riderflex. We hope you enjoy today's podcast. And as a reminder, please subscribe to the Riderflex show for updates on new episodes. And by the way, if you haven't already, check out the book we recently launched, The Riderflex Guide, Inspiring and Hiring, available for purchase on Amazon. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
I have to say, reading your book, you are definitely my jam as a leader. And no, I just like the stories. It was so funny. I kept reading them to my husband last night as well, by the way. I was like, you got to hear this. Give me a minute. And he's reading his own book. And I'm like, no, give me a minute. I got to read this to you.
Thank you.
So you are definitely my jam. No, and I have to tell you, in writing the books that I've written, I love your style, and I feel like your ability to communicate, your ability to tell a story and then bullet it out and make it digestible, easy, your use of quotes. I'm just, from a book lover, book writer to another book human, just nailed it.
Well, thank you. Here's what I've learned from yours. I can be more positive and more inspirational, I think, with some of my things, because yours is so constant with that. And the other thing is, I don't know who you're using for, I guess we'll call it layout and design, I guess.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, the layout, the design, the colors, the feel, the style, it's like got such a positive vibe. By the way, for the listeners, and we'll just roll with it. We're already recording, so we'll just roll.
Yeah.
For the listeners, they just, even the way the book feels, like the cover.
I'm picky. I got needs.
It's like, wow, this so much thought went into this. I'm just like, look at it, and just I love everything about it. The layout is great. I don't know if you directed that yourself or you have a team for that, but it just feels really good. So whoever's doing that for you, congrats.
It takes a village. I do have a designer on staff, on team. She works at CBH Homes with me, does all my stuff here, and then has worked with me personally and my crew on all my personal stuff for years. And we're just very connected. Like, she knows, I would say she does a great job of, I firmly believe that we as adults, not just children, but we as adults need, I always say, keep the font big, keep the pictures, keep the colors, right? Come back to kindergarten. Like, I always say, I don't want anyone to fall asleep on my watch. Right.
I'm going to implement a lot more of that in my next book. Yeah. Great job of it.
You did all sorts of good stuff. So thank you.
Was the first one was Better Human, right? Was that first? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
For the listeners, right?
Yeah. Yes. And the main one I use pretty much for everything is just rondaconger.com, because it just makes it easy. You find everything under my umbrella, makes it easier.
Okay. I did that. And for the listeners, rondaconger.com, it directs you to betterhuman.today.
Yeah. It's one and the same.
Okay. The first book was Better Human. It's a full-time job. I want to make sure the listeners see that. And it's available probably almost everywhere, right?
Sure hope so. Yes.
And then did you do the smaller two? And then you go first, or how did it, what was the,
better, it's funny, the Better Thinking, this just really quick, the story behind the Better Thinking one, and it's just quotes brought to life, is that 15 years ago, for my team, I started sending out a quote every single morning, something to start our day, to get us going. And what happened over those last 14 or 15 years, I would have one of my teammates would be like, can you add my wife to the list? Can you add my mother, my grandmother, my aunt? And so this list just kept growing and growing and growing. So for literally, it's either 14 or 15 years, Monday through Friday, every morning, I wake up and I send my thought of the day. And so what happened is we then took our 50 favorite of those thoughts, brought them to life, and created just this fun book. I mean, over the years, I've had parents send me pictures of their kids on carpool in the morning. They all read a quote a day, right? Or like, people leave it on their coffee tables. They, just fun gifts, all that type of thing. It was just, I love quotes. They speak to my heart, my soul. I learn from them. And I wanted to bring it to life.
I love it. It's my favorite. And it's like a quick daily read. Like I have a little, I wouldn't call myself super religious, but I do have a little Bible quote. I have a little Bible quote thing on my desk. And so I read that. And so what I've done now is I've set this next to it, and then I do another Bible verse, and then and what I've done too is I just kind of open it up, right? I'm not going in order. I just
No.
and I just see, and I think it's made for that, right? It's made to
It is. And I have to tell you, we were talking about like, I love life, and I'm on the hunt for better, and I love humans and just all of it, right? But I'm also tell you, I'm not like this crazy, like serious person, so much so that you're gonna open up one of those quotes one of the days, and it's gonna be my Panda Express fortune cookie, right? Like I thought it was like life changing, and so I put it in there. People are like, "Oh my God, you put a Panda Express fortune cookie?" And I'm like, "I did, I really did." Right?
It is better thinking by Ronda Conger. I love that. And then I think you wrote leading through extraordinary times when COVID hit, right?
Yep,
that was your message around, hey man, life is hard. It gets tough. keep pushing forward.
Yep.
Keep going forward. Like, come on, man.
Yep.
Like put your boots on, get your ass out there.
You could cliff note my book. You could cliff note my book.
Right here. That's what it says.
Get your ass out there. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, it was so easy during COVID for people to be like, oh, I'm just going to hide in my house and the world's ending, and I'm going to binge watch Netflix for 2 weeks and not do anything or whatever. It was like, no. Keep pushing forward. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you did that for inspiration. And then, I mean, my favorite book is You Go First. This is my favorite one, You Go First, because it's just got so many leadership tips and advice in here and examples. I was thinking to myself as I was reading through, I'm like, it's almost like you're saying, hey, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself, right?
Yes!
Like you better, it's a great reminder. You get into this routine as a leader, and sometimes you forget about the blocking and the tackling and the basics. And I see this as I would read it from beginning to end first, but then it's more of a handbook, and you can come back and go, you know what? Yeah, I'm not really communicating very well. I feel like my team is not understanding what I'm saying, or whatever your topic might be, and you can reference it back. I guess my point, I guess my final thought is, you're never a perfect leader, and you get rusty and you forget about basics. And when you pick this book up, you kind of go, oh yeah, that's shit, I need to do that.
Well, and I always say too, I want to be careful in the sense that I have to lead myself first. How's my attitude, my actions, right? All of those things. How am I doing? And then before I go, start pointing out everyone else's flaws and everything that's doing wrong, I have to say, hold on. I got to go first. So am I clear in my communication, right? How is my attitude? How's my energy? How's my work ethic before I go pointing everyone else's out? Right. Like, to me, that's really important. And I value that. So, I mean it, that book, I always say everything that I've written, I'm writing to myself a little bit, right? I'm trying to remind myself how I want to act and how I want to be and what's important to me. And then I want to make sure that I actually do it. Right. And you're right. You do need to be reminded. You do.
You do. It's a great handbook. Let me just give the listeners a real life example. So I recently had a longtime recruiter leave. She had been with us almost since the beginning. In fact, the longest term recruiter. And, she had some things going on in her life, and she, different things. And it was time for her to move on, and she resigned. And, I love the fact, and you have a chapter in here, people quit. Yep, they do. And it's number 8. And I'm reading through it. I'm like, this is so great, because you see all these social media posts like, oh, people quit managers, and people quit because of the leader. And you kind of get this vibe on social media, like that's the only reason people resign.
Right.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
not the only, it's not the
Thank
only
you.
reason.
No,
It's not the only reason.
it's
And you
not.
go, and it's a great reminder. And then I'm reading this, I'm like, exactly. Like they do quit because of other stuff, whatever it might be. They retired, they moved, whatever. Like it's not just because the manager fucked up and did something bad.
No,
You know.
and thank you for saying that, because I have to say, I definitely, people are messy. We're messy.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
all have things going on, right? Like we all have things going on. And yes, if you end up having a crappy manager, I'm sorry. At the same time, I've had them. And I
Yeah.
love it. It's so funny. One of my favorite quotes is by Ryan Holiday. And it's a Greek philosopher quote, amore fate, which says, I love it all. So I love the good, the bad. I love it all. In order to learn, grow, you have to love every aspect, right? So I will tell you, I learned just as much from the crappy managers as I've learned from the good managers.
Agreed.
Right? They're just showing you how not to behave. Take that lesson, run with it. Right?
Agreed.
Grow you as a leader. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, because you can't say that enough. I see it everywhere. I'm like, oh, stop.
Yeah, stop. Yeah, stop. I also want to tell people to stop thinking there's perfect bosses. Like there's
No.
there are no perfect bosses. There are no perfect companies. And I've been leading and managing people for 30 years. And guess what? I still mess up sometimes.
No. Okay. You're making me. Okay. So, I told you I send out a quote every morning, right? So this is this morning's quote. I have to read it to you just because what you said. So give me a second. I'm looking at my phone here. So it's a great quote, and you'll love it because I know you get quotes like I do. I can tell by your book, right? Like you putting those quotes in there. I was like, chef's kiss. I'm like, like this little bonus, this little nugget. Okay, hold on. Come on. I can't even find my own quote. What's going on in this world? 2 seconds, wait for it. It's all about what you just said, is that I think everyone thinks that there's this perfect out there, this perfect culture, this perfect company, there's not.
No.
there's not. Okay, here we go.
And it's because humans are messy, just like you said earlier. Like, hey, we're humans, we're not robots.
Right? Okay, so this is funny. So the quote is actually from Jane Fonda. Stay with me. It says, if the career you have chosen has some unexpected inconveniences, console yourself by reflecting that no career is without them.
Exactly.
Right. So like people think, it's every career, job, boss, teammates, there's always going to be something. Right. Yeah. You just have to decide that, I can put up with this. I love this and I can put up with this.
There you go. You have to decide how much you're willing to put up with, because you're going to put up with something everywhere you go.
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
So the new book, you got a new book coming out. But tell me, okay, so let's talk about it. The new book is
I like
New market, new you. New market, new you. Yeah. Okay.
I'm in the real estate industry. I've been in new home construction for close to 30 years, right? So it's my jam. I love it. Amore fate. I love it all. The highs, the lows, the spikes, it's a cyclical. It was funny. I was on a call yesterday. This guy was like, real estate is a cyclical bitch. I was like, I love it. I love it. I'm here for this. I'm here for it all. Right. And, obviously everything we've been through as a country, COVID, and then housing just flew, I can't decide if everyone just decided it was the most important thing they had because that's where they were going to have to hang out, or the moving, the remote, whatever. Housing took off. God bless. Yeah. And obviously now it's coming back down to earth. Right. And this is a new market. And you know what happens? Even with leading through extraordinary times, the reason why I write these books, and I call them like booklets because they're not like full on huge books, because what it is I do it based on what I'm feeling, but also I have all these other, people in the industry that are calling, texting, phoning, right? And I'm just like, listen, this is a new market. And if you're thinking that you need to behave the same as you did 6 months ago, 9 months ago, you're done. You're
What are you
done.
telling them? What's your advice in the book? Not to give all away all the secrets, but what are some of the things you're telling them to pivot or change?
Well,
And
okay, you just said the two magic words, pivot and change. What I completely understand is that humans, the most part, want everything to stay the same. They don't want any bumps in the road. They don't want anything to change. And keep in mind, in the construction industry, life was really good. You were selling and building a lot of homes. So life was really good. So the normal human says, no, I don't want that. I don't want it to change. So I'm going to put my blinders on. I'm going to ignore it. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to adjust. And I completely disagree. This is a new market and a new time. And you have to, there's a great story I tell in there. It's about the cows and the buffaloes. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
No.
Okay. This will help sum it up for you. Cows and buffaloes, picture them. They're out on the prairie, right? They're grazing, whatever.
Okay.
All of a sudden, here comes out in the distance, a huge tornado, hurricane, whatever you like, serve up. Huge storm coming at you at the distance. Here's the difference between cows and buffaloes. Cows run away from the storm. They try, right? They try to outrun it. They try to just run away from it. What happens though, is that the storm catches up with those cows and overtakes them. It's done. Let's be honest, right? Literally, the storm overtakes them. They can't run away from it. A buffalo, on the other hand, runs at the storm and right through it. Runs at the storm, right through it, and gets to the other side faster, safer, higher odds, the whole 9 yards, by the way.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
It's true story. True story. Look it up. True story. Google it. You can look at it. And so I'm always like, channel your inner buffalo. I knew, the market was changing. Everything was changing. I wanted to run right at this storm and right through it. I want to get through things as fast as possible, which means you have to change. Again, I say these words all the time. I need you to change your attitude, right? Quit telling me about how bad the market is. I don't want to hear that, right? Amore fate. I love it all. This is the market that's been given to me. This is how I have to work. Right. So change, right? Your attitude, your actions, whatever my watch is talking to me, whatever you have done 6 or 9 months ago is irrelevant. And you actually need to figure out new actions, new way of doing business, new way, right? Like I'll give you, you'll appreciate a salesperson perspective. I was talking to one of my salespeople about 3 months ago, and they were a top salesperson 9 months ago. All of a sudden, they're not a top salesperson.
And welcome to real life.
Right. And so sitting down with me, we're reviewing everything. And I was like, so you tell me what's changed. I don't know. I mean, I'm just, I'm a good salesperson.
I'm doing the same things.
I'm doing the same things.
I'm doing the same things.
And I said, could you give me some examples? What does that include for you? Like, well, I prospect about an hour a day. It's always worked for me. Right. It's about, right. And I was like, interesting. And I said, so is it working for you now? I'm looking at your numbers. I'm just curious, like, you feel good? Like it's working? No, it's not working. And I was like, so what do you suggest? He's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, I suggest you prospect close to 3 to 4 hours a day right now. Like literally, that's the market that we're in. You now have to go out and get buyers and market and call and communicate. Before, they were coming through your door in droves and you didn't have to do that, right? Yeah. But again, I think the new market, new you is, I'm just saying, are you eyes wide open? Are you dealing with the market that you're in, not the market that you wish? And are you willing to adjust and change in order to succeed in this market?
I like it. Okay, very good. It's true. You can't just do the same things. You have to change. You have to be willing to do that. And you're right. Humans hate change, don't they? I mean,
they hate all their passion.
And in this market, you better hustle your ass off and do 3 hours of prospecting and selling. It's so interesting. I love it when people, they're in sales and they'll be like, well, I sent out a couple of emails today. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you.
That's going to get her done. The interesting part, in 2020, that probably worked.
Maybe so. Yeah, I guess so. Right. In the housing. Right. Yeah. Not today. I always tell people, I'm like, look, I tell you what, when you send out 100 emails and make 50 phone calls and send 30 LinkedIn messages, then let's have a conversation.
Right. I love it. I got to hear Nick Saban speak live, and I'm a huge Nick Saban fan. You have to know that. So
Oh yeah. He's in the book.
he's in the book
I
a
love
lot.
it.
I love this man.
Yep,
And I just love the way he coaches. I love his leadership style. I'm in.
yeah,
I'm here for all of it.
yeah. Great guy.
And I heard him speak live, and there was two things he said live that I just loved. Recently, I was at Dave Ramsey's Entre Leadership. Amazing. Nick Saban's on the stage, and he was talking about his players, and he was like, at the end of the day, players, humans, workers, leaders, we are going to reap what we sow.
Yeah.
We are going to reap what we sow, right? So whatever you do, the 100 phone calls, everything you just listed, right? But if you don't, why are we surprised? What? And then the other thing, and this is up my alley, as you know, you peeked at some of my books. The other thing, they asked him on stage, what do you want from your players, right? You're one of the, right now, obviously he's having a tough season. I pray for him. He'll get it. I know he will. He's a leader. He'll get it. But they asked, what do you want? What are two things you want out of your players? And I look at it out of my teammates, of people, he says, I just want two things. I want their energy and I want their smile. What? What? Like if we could break this down in two things. I know you're big on hiring and recruiting. I'll tell you what, when I'm in an interview process, I'm looking for those two things.
It's
right?
true.
I want your energy and I want your smile. I do. I really do. So of course he was speaking my language.
I love the fact that you're a fan of his. Did you see the one video clip where he talks about the jeans with holes in them? And he's like, I just don't understand that people buy jeans with holes in them. And it was something like, when I was a kid, I was so poor that I didn't want to go to school because I had holes in my jeans or something like that. That was a great one.
Well, it's interesting. I'm in love with your book, so I do have to reference it. I got it yesterday. I read it last night. I can't get enough of it. My jam, I'm telling you, my jam. But there's a story in your book that is so similar to a story that Nick Saban shared on stage. And it's the story of, it's you, personal, you got broken into, baseball bat all night long, right? Like hard, right? And then you had to go to work the next day, right? Like everything. Nick Saban, oh my God, I have to tell you, the funniest story he shared was very similar. And he was younger. He worked for his dad at a gas station. His girlfriend had just broken up with him. He comes to work all mopey, doesn't want to work, really isn't helping people, and miserable. And his dad pulled him in and just said, I'm going to have a tough conversation with you as your dad and as your boss. And you've just had a bad personal thing happen to you, but you're about ready to take that one personal item. And not only are you not going to have a girlfriend, you're not going to have a job.
Bingo.
And if you don't have a job, I'm your daddy and I'm probably going to spank you, or give you a whooping or something, right? Like, you've let one event take the whole ship down. And I'm telling you, I read this last night and I was like, he needs to hear the Nick Saban story. He needs to hear the Nick Saban.
True. It's so true. I always tell people there's two buckets: personal life and professional life. You got two buckets, or two boats. And if one of them is leaking and filling with water, don't shoot holes in the other boat.
Isn't that so true? So true.
On, don't mess them both up. Like, what are you doing? I always worked harder during my personal struggles. I just worked more. And in fact, I think my career benefited from some of the personal stuff, because I just worked all the time. I'm not suggesting that's healthy, but
sometimes
don't mess up both boats. But I want you to tell the listeners about you a little bit, for the people that may not know who Ronda is yet. Give us like the Ronda overview. Where you grew up, a little bit about your family, and then how you got into your career. Just give us an overview, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So it's funny, if you were to read a little bit about me, I always say, it's hard to say if I was raised by truckers or wolves. So know that.
It's in the book.
Right?
Yeah, it's in the book.
Like it's true. And I've been in construction for a long time. I definitely am a trucker. You got to know that. I'm good with it. I'm here for that. I would tell you, so, from 0 to 18, very eventful, very fun. my mother passed away when I was 3 in a car accident. And then it was just kind of this, my father had, more wives and stepchildren than I have probably fingers. And then, it was just kind of this, not an amazing, healthy environment. I'll just be honest with you. So I learned early on that it's on me, and I'm okay with that. Right. Like I just kind of that, when you're in that environment, it's kind of that you have to fight, it's on you. So, I think I was homeless right around my freshman year. And then again, my senior year, at the beginning of my senior year, once again. And
because you moved out and said, Dad, I can't do this. I got to go.
Kind of the other way around, to be honest. It was kind of like, wasn't really his thing, amore fate. I love it all. And it's made me who I am today. I'm an incredible, resilient, strong, human. And so in that moment, I think it's interesting, my September of my senior year, when all of this is happening in turmoil in my life, I had to make a decision. I had to realize that no one was going to show me the way. No one was going to tell me what to do. No one was going to tell me to go to class. No one was going to tell me to get to graduation. No one was going to tell me to study. And so I thought, that was actually a gift, because I had to get myself up every single day. I had to feed myself. I had to get to class. I had to graduate. I talk about, I'm a senior in high school. It's graduation. It's like May 20th, whatever day it was. And I was on stage in front of, I graduated from the largest high school in the state of Washington. And there was probably 2,000-3,000 people in the stadium. And I remember on that stage getting my diploma that day, and there's like all these people, family members and brothers and siblings and sisters, and they're waving their signs and they're snapping their cameras. And, and here I am looking out in the crowd, and there's not one person in the crowd.
When they call your name, right? Ronda Conger, like nobody claps. It's
right. Nobody. I mean, well, people friends who knew me or whatever, but no one. And you know what? It was so funny in that moment. I was like, I'm good with this. It's all on me. And that was actually the best news I could have in that moment.
Where did the where did the inspiration come from? What human being were you looking towards, since you couldn't look towards your dad, your mom was gone? Who were you looking at going, that person right there inspires me?
I love that question. So growing up, it's funny. I'm the only Canadian in my family. My father was working in Canada. I came 3 months early. I'm the only Canadian in the family. So fun, right? So fun.
Very good.
Fun fact, party fact. And at that moment, when we were in Canada, I actually ended up getting still one of my lifelong best friends. I was really close with her family. Her father was a successful businessman, entrepreneur. They took me under their wing for quite some time, off and on. And then one of my stepmothers was life-changing as well. She was a rock in my life, and always pushed me. This family always pushed me. And you know what I think is interesting? I think I always had the ability from a little girl on that I would just watch everything. And I was like, that's not the look I'm going for. Okay. This is what I want in my life. Right. So I was always on the hunt for that. And I also, like, if we got in a car right now, you and I, and we drove back to where I'm from, and those people are still living, none of it has changed. None of it has changed. The only thing that has changed is me.
Yeah,
right. And so I understood at a very early age, if that wasn't what I wanted in my life, and if that wasn't what brought me joy or happiness or the look that I was going for, that I had to go the complete opposite way, and that it was all on me and all up to me. So the day I stood there my senior year, it was the best news. I was like, it's on me.
Okay.
I can decide, because you look at me, let's go one step further, and I'll tell you, my husband and I have been together over 30 years. We have 2 amazing sons. We built.
Well, damn, you look like you're 40. When did you get married? When
God, you were 10? Did you lock that up, sir? I will draw that line in that sand.
You were like 17.
Right. Thank you. 14. No, I'm kidding. Right. Like, but seriously, we've been together since college. We've been together. And so I just feel like all of those things I learned from, and I watched, and then I've gone to work, to build the life that I dream of, and the life that I want. And I realize that I have to build it. I have to work on it. Right. Like, it's on me. No one, it's not going to magically happen. Yeah.
All that stuff when you were younger definitely shaped you in many, many ways. How'd you meet your husband?
So funny story. I don't know what you call it, but we both were working at Costco. So we call Costco the Love Palace. And yeah, we were both in college. We were both working, and he made me laugh. He made me laugh from day one, and I've not stopped laughing, and it's just amazing.
Okay. Did he ask you out, or you asked him out? What was the
No,
first
no.
date?
Well, it's so funny. I wasn't into this whole like dating thing just because I was kind of over it
Okay.
for a little while.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, let's go to dinner. I'm like, well, I'm not going to date you. And this is so funny. He was like, well, will you at least go to dinner with me? I'm like, fine, sure, whatever. And then, dinner comes and I'm like, well, we're splitting the check because if you buy, you're going to think this is a date. And he was so funny. Even at that moment, he's like, well, you are going to date me. You just don't know it yet.
Ooh.
Right. And then he is just like that. My man is relentless. He knew,
Okay.
and the rest is history. Like he just was, and trust me, it was meant.
It's great. Over 30 years. How many kids?
2 boys.
And they are how old?
Well, okay, take that back. 2 grown-ass men, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, right. So I have a 25-year-old who is a hockey player, and I have a 21-year-old at TCU and is a home builder as well. Actually, he's so fun. They're both
The hockey player. Now, were you an athlete? Was your husband an athlete? Where did that come from? Yeah.
Yep. So I played a little bit of I played tennis in high school, and then I also went on to play it in a couple different colleges, Boise State,
Okay.
another college in Washington, and then my husband was basketball. So
okay, so
we love sports.
Yeah,
we love sports.
It's in the blood.
Yeah.
Did you went to Boise State? Did you have, were your grades like on the edge? Like you had 2.9 and barely got in, or you were a straight A student? What were you?
No. It's so funny. I spent a ton of time I'm a learner. Like I love to read and self-learn, but school in itself, like yawn fest for me. Right.
Okay.
Like I was like, come on, let's
you
get
got
out
too
there.
much energy. You got
right?
too much
I do.
energy.
I'm like, let's get into the weeds. Let's get in there. Let's get something done to do. Right. Like that's in this classroom. So no, I would definitely be in the 2.9, which is funny because my husband's more in like the 4.0 realm, which is so
okay.
like he would laugh. He would like, I would be home studying and you'd be like, peace, I'm going to the bar with the girls.
Did you both go to Boise State?
We did. Yep.
Oh, okay. Were you married before you graduated?
Nope. We graduated and then the year after.
The year after. You were living together while you were going to school, though, but not married? Okay.
Yep.
And you didn't have kids until after you guys graduated.
No, we didn't have kids until 3 years after college. Like we definitely were.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And I forgot to ask you, we'll get away from the personal stuff, but when you were in high school and college, anything fun, like ever arrested or any, I don't know, give me like caught with some drugs in the trunk or something. I mean, give me something fun.
No, I think the only thing that you'll love, and you will love this. There's two, I'll tell you 2 quick stories because you're so fun. I love that you're like, you're like, give it to me. I've been through an FBI raid.
Oh, cool. That's cool. All right. I got, you're gonna have to give us, go ahead. What's the other one?
Well, and it leads to the second story, which is right up your alley. I'll tell you that. Think about this. My husband and I, our senior year of college, we were both had to make a decision. Who's going to graduate the quickest so we can just get this thing going? So we made the decision that my husband would load up and take as many courses as possible, get him his construction management degree, and I would work 4 jobs to get him across the finish line. Okay.
Waitress, Costco.
Oh,
whatever.
you name it. Oh my God. You don't even want to know, right? You name it. I did it. I was a skip tracer at Sears. I was like tracing down bad people who weren't paying their bills. So it was so fun. So then he gets his first job in Las Vegas working on the airport. We moved to Las Vegas right out of college.
Okay. So, wow. Interesting. All right. That's how the Vegas thing happened. He got a job there. Okay.
That's why. Only reason we went there, he gets a job, so we go. And so we land there, and the very first day I'm like, I'm just going to go to a temp agency and get a job today. Like I'm a worker, right? Like I'm not going to wait and put resumes out at that moment. I'm young, hungry. And so I get with this marketing company. A sales and marketing company. They're selling wireless shares, blah, blah, blah. So I'm working there. And again, I'm a worker. It's who I am. I love it. I enjoy it. And so I'm working a ton at this company. I'm staying late. I come early. I'm your yes girl as well. So do you need help? Oh, I'll do that. Do you want this?
And you talk about that a lot in your books. You're just like, hey man, raise your hand, say yes. Yep.
So I'm about 6 months into this job. I'm loving it. It's great. Well, during the 6 months, there's this amazing woman. She'd pull up in her Jaguar. She'd walk in. She'd have meetings with the owners. And I'm always just in awe, right? I'm just like, who is this?
There you go. There's another inspirational character. Right? There's somebody else in your
right. So and then someone says, oh, well, she's a partner, an owner, but she's out of California. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Think nothing of it. And then fast forward probably like 30 days. I can't, the time's a little blurry, but maybe 30 days. And I'm working late. It's like 7, 8 o'clock. I'm the last one in the office. That's just who I am. I just want to finish everything, do everything. Up walks the blonde, this lady named Michelle. And she's like, "Are you Rhonda?" I'm like, "I am." And she's like, "Yeah, I know. I've been watching you."
Ooh,
And I'm like, right? I'm like, "Okay, this is fun." And she's like, "So I'm starting a new division and I want you to come run it with me. You want to go? You want to do that?" And I was like,
okay.
"What?
Yes.
Like, what? Yeah, tonight? Should we go now?" Like, right? And so fun. We open up our own division. I do everything with her. I become her right hand. Just having the time of my life, start this whole other division, people, blah, 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 blah. It's up and running. It's going. It's amazing. Keep in mind, we are in Vegas.
Yeah. Now, and what is it? What is the work for the listeners? Is it real estate,
No,
residential real estate? Is it construction? What's the
no,
business?
it's cell phone wireless shares at the time.
Cell phone wireless
I know.
shares. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
Evidently nobody else did, hence why we went through an FBI raid. So we were probably like 3 or 4 more months in. Everything's great. Everything's running. She kind of comes and goes in her Jag.
But what are you selling? What is it you're selling?
It's a wireless share. It's almost like you're buying into a cell phone tower. I think that'd probably be the easiest way to describe it.
Okay. All right.
And that was back when it was
It's like an investment. Okay.
Yes. Well, they were doing it evidently corporate, let's say, because we weren't corporate, we were just a division, was evidently very sketchy on their dealings and their money and what they were doing with it. I'll never forget this. So typical day, she doesn't come in very often. She flies in and out of California, whatever. I'll never forget. She comes in the office and I was like, "Oh, surprise. I didn't know you were going to be here this week or this day." Right. And she's like, "I need to see you in my office." I'm like, "Sure." She sits down across her desk. I'm up front of her. I'm like, "What's up? You're kind of like acting
weird
here, right?"
Don't be weird.
Right. And she has this envelope in front of her. I'm like, "Okay." And she's like, "Well, here's the deal. We are going to be raided in approximately 2 hours." I'm like, "Raided? What?" And she's like, "We're going to go through an FBI raid in approximately 2 hours. And here's what I need you to do. I need you to shred everything in the building. And I need you to let go all of the employees. And I need you to walk out of the building before the 2 hours is up."
Wow.
And I was like, and then she's like, "Thank you. I've enjoyed our time together. I just love you. You're amazing." And she slid cash full of envelope across the table at me.
What? Oh my God. This is like a movie.
Right?
This is like a movie. Right then I'd be thinking, if I were you, I'd be thinking, am I a criminal? Am I like an accomplice?
Right?
Is she tying me into this?
No. And that's what she said. She's like, "You've done your job. You know nothing. You know nothing of anything. The raid's going on.
Except for I'm taking cash that is got blood on it or whatever. I don't know.
Right. I know. She's like, "That's your severance." That's when I was like, "Okay." So I'm not kidding you. She walks out. Right. I call my husband. I'm like, "You are not going to believe my day, but I got some things to do." And he's like, "I'll be right there." Right. And so we do it. So literally we drive away, we come back, like we're kind of like staking the place a little bit. And sure enough, in comes the FBI, tape all around. They're pulling.
But you were still there? You were still there?
No, we were away from it. We were like watching it from afar.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I truly didn't I got to see the FBI raid, but I got out of it in time.
Did you ever find out what she was doing?
No. I literally, it was something to do with the shares, selling them FDIC illegally, and then taking that money.
Did she go to jail?
No, this is the last memory I have of this woman, and I've never talked to her since. She hands me the cash. I literally follow her out. I watch her get in her Jaguar and drive off into the sunset.
And that was
like, it'll be a memory in my head forever.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty good story. I like
there
that.
You go.
I like that.
There you go.
So how did you give us the transition into real estate and construction? Like, give us that, walk us into your transition. And then of course, talk about CBH Homes, but walk us into it real quick and give us the CBH Homes overview.
Okay, I'll be fast because it's really you're gonna love this one. This goes right back into your hiring and recruiting. Okay. So at that moment in time, this is true. So my husband was actually my fiance at that point. We weren't married. We were engaged. The wedding was 3 months away. And so I tell my husband, my fiance at the time, I tell him, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to prep for the wedding. I'm going to take 3 months off. I'm going to lay by the pool. It's sunny. It's summer. I'm just going to like take a break. I'll get married and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do.
He must have been making decent money so you could do
Yeah,
that.
he's doing, and it's 3 months. He's doing great. Well, my
right.
stepmother, the one that I adore and love and been in my life forever, I call her and I run the idea by her, and she's like, whoa, 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 you know the rule. And I'm like, oh, come on. So the rule is you have two choices in life. You either work or you go to school and you learn something, but there's no downtime. Like there's no, you have to be growing in some form or fashion. So then she says to me, why don't you get your real estate license and you can buy your husband a house, right? Like when you can help the process and do everything. It'll be something that you'll need for the rest of your life. It's like a month and a half course. Why don't you do that right? And I was like, fine, I'll do that. Fine. Okay. I'll lay by the pool and read a real estate textbook, right? Fine. And so that's going on. Then what happens is my instructor says, oh my God, there's a woman in new home construction at KB Homes she's the vice president. You are going to love her. You have to meet her. And I'm like, no, I don't want a job in home building. I don't want a job. Like, no, I'm doing
But you didn't know what you wanted to do at that time.
I didn't know what I didn't know what I wanted to do, but for some reason that just didn't appeal to me in the moment. It wasn't what I was thinking of. But here's the other thing that happens. So he's like, just talk to her. I'm like, I'll see. Have her call me. We'll see. So she's leaving me voicemails. I haven't got back to her yet. We haven't connected. In the meantime, turn on the news one night in Vegas, and on the TV, you've got this reporter and is standing out front the Hard Rock Cafe. And the reporter says, this only happens every 10 years, but the Hard Rock Cafe is hiring, right? Like these positions come up in once every 10 years, maybe one or two if you're lucky. And it's to be a server at the Hard Rock Cafe. And it's a 6-digit income, right? It's like,
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
It's a 6-digit income, right? And I'm young, I'm like 21, 22, whatever it is. And they're like, come down tomorrow. It's one of the biggest events in Vegas. It's, da, da, da. And so I turn off the TV and I was like, I'm going, right? Like I'm going, like, I love a good challenge. Let's just go see what this is about.
Yeah.
I show up the next day. I am not kidding you. There's at least 1,000 people in line.
Wow.
And I'm shook. I'm like, I got to experience this. Right. So I get in line.
Why not?
Right.
Why not?
I get in line. The most intense, fun, amazing, life-altering, changing, hiring event I've ever been to in my life.
Really interesting. I didn't know that's how they did it. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So, but it's a month-long process. And you have
really?
it's like Survivor. You have to make it through every episode. Right.
Interesting.
And they keep calling you back and you have to make the cut. And so, that first 1,000 is, in my opinion, the first 1,000, we're all out there, they're spending 2 seconds with you. I guarantee you this, they're checking your energy and they're checking your smile, and that's
Bingo.
it. Right? One group of the line goes that way and walks right out. The other grab, he says, okay, here's your time. You show up here tomorrow, be ready for anything. That's literally every time they interviewed me, they'd hand me a piece of paper. You made it. Show up tomorrow, be ready for anything.
That's great. That's a great line. Ooh, I like that. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use it.
Be ready for anything. So I was like, I'm competitive as hell. You got to know, like, I'm just, right. So I literally spent 30 days marching my way through their interview process. And there was like, so one of the things I had to pass, and you'll love this because it is the Hard Rock. It's entertaining. It's all of that. So at that point, there was probably close to 200 of us still competing at this one time, right? And we're all in the restaurant at one time. And you get to your station and then they tell you in every station at that point, there's a little bit different. They're talking to you, they're asking you things, whatever. And I get to this one station and he says, you've been selected. You have exactly 10 seconds to command this room. Go. And so, right, I'm like, so literally and good thing I'm not shy, and obviously I can talk, I don't care. So I literally instinctively jumped up on top of the table in the middle of this restaurant and literally just commanded the room. I just yelled, right? Like, it's just too
That is such a great, I wish you had a video of that.
Oh,
I wish we
please,
had
come on. Did they even have video cameras back then? Let's be
I
honest.
don't, maybe not, but that would be awesome.
So, but that was just one of them. And so you go through this line of things that they ask you to do. The very final interview process, very interesting to me.
Okay.
The very final, so spoiler alert, I made it all the way to the end, right? So the very last interview process, and you talk a little bit about in your book, which I thought was interesting. I can see why Hard Rock does it, but you had to speed date with every current employee at Hard Rock. So the entire restaurant was full. Every employee was sitting at a table in the restaurant, and you had to sit. And there was only, at that point, there was 2 openings and there was 4 of us left. And so the 4 of us had to make our way around that restaurant and engage with every human. And then and then you left, and then the decision was made by all of them, right?
I think that is a great test. Boy, that's a good one for people to use. The ability to immediately connect with all kinds of different people and personalities and styles.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, so that all happens. I'm in the middle of all that. Well, right when I finished the last one, and they call me and they say, listen, you're pretty much a shoo-in. We just need to finalize a couple of things. We'll call you in a couple of days. But they were great. They're like, at that point, I'm good friends with them. I've been spending 30 days with them, right? Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So they say that they're like, just give us like a little bit more time to finalize everything else, and then we'll be back in touch, and we'll go next. We'll figure out how to get you whatever. Okay. All of a sudden, I make connection with the woman at KB Homes. We make a connection. She says, will you come in for coffee with me? Will you come have coffee with me?
How did that happen?
Because my instructor, my real estate instructor, gave her my phone number and said, you have to meet this woman. You two need to connect. Okay. So she calls me randomly on a Thursday. I'll never forget it. And she calls me and says, hey, will you just come in and meet me? I know you don't want to, and I know you say you don't want a job and you don't want to be in construction, but I don't think you even know that. So just come see me. Come have coffee.
And it's true. And it's true. That's a true statement. I mean, that's for real. Like, the reality is you didn't really know if you didn't.
Right.
Know. How could you?
And she said, she's like, Teddy is a good friend of mine, the real estate instructor. He says, I have to meet you. Can we at least just meet? And I said, sure, let's do it. I go in for like coffee, whatever, to like, I even told my fiance at the time, I was like, I'm going to be there like 20 minutes. Like, this is like, whatever. I'm going to Hard Rock, baby.
I'm going to Hard Rock.
Right. I'm living my best life. Get ready. I show up to have coffee, plan to be done. I spend 3.5 hours with her. We hit it off. She talked to me about the industry. She talked to me about opportunity. She talked to me about potential. She talked to me about career. And I was like, God, I love all of this, but I've got Hard Rock, right? Like, I was like, and you know what she says to me? I'll see you in the morning. The sales meeting is at 9. See you then. And I was like, no, you're not going to see me. Why would you see me? Like, why? No, wait, why would you? No. And she's a very amazing, aggressive, amazing tenacity, passion leader. She's still a good friend of mine today. And she's like, nope, there's the door. I'll see you at 9. And I came home and my husband's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I see her at 9. I don't know. And so I go to the sales meeting at 9 a.m. the next morning, and here I am 28 years later in new home construction.
How about that? Wow. Congratulations, by the way. Very cool story. How did you and your husband decide, or how did you transition from there? You worked for KB Homes for how long?
Probably about 4 or 5 years. And then we decided that we wanted, remember, we went to Boise State. So Boise has always been in our heart, right? We lived in Boise. My husband's, from about 2 hours outside of Boise. So Boise's always in our heart. So we decided we want to have a family. We want to do that in Boise. So we moved back. And then I just continued.
You left, you both quit your jobs in Vegas.
Yep, we did. And we came here.
And when you moved back to Boise, did you have a plan? Were you like, what was the plan?
No, it's so funny. He went off to create his land development and do things. He's dirt and I'm sticks, right? So I'm a home builder and he's dirt. And he goes off and does his thing. Match made in heaven. And so at that time, it was funny. There was a builder developer here in town that I admired, I had watched, I'd heard about, and I just wanted to be a part of. They weren't hiring. And so I went and asked to meet with the vice president, just emailed him and said, can I meet with you? And I had my resume and he's like, well, you're way too qualified and you have all this experience, right? Like, but I don't have anything. So no. And I was like, listen, I'm going to make you the deal of the century. I will do your lowest job you have here. Pay me $4 an hour, pay me 5, 10, whatever you want to pay me. Does not matter to me. I just want to be in this building. I love what you do. I love your culture. I love your company. I love your product, and I want to be here. So you're going to get
CBH? Is this
nope,
CBH?
nope. This is a different
Okay.
company,
All right.
and it's going to be the deal of the century. Just trust me on that. You're going to look like a rock star. You're going to look like you've just right. So he does. He hires me, and then I just march my way through, right? Do work and do all my stuff. And that's just who I am. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to help. So then, and that was for probably about 7 years. Great company, great. And then Corey Barton, the owner of CBH Homes, we ended up connecting over another piece of dirt. And we just, at that moment in time, we both realized that we had the same goals, the same desires, the same passion. CBH Homes has been in the business for 30 years. I've been here close to 20. And we have a big engine. We have a lot of passion for this. We love what we do. We've worked really hard to build this culture, this team, everything that we have. And so it's just been a blessing. I think that, kind of reminds me of your book a little bit. You do stop waiting to be tapped. Stop waiting for things to happen to you. I firmly believe in my career, in my life, it's because I've gone for it. I've asked for it. It hasn't been about money for me or titles. I'm looking for experiences. I'm looking for opportunities. I'm looking for the right fit for the people who I always say, my husband, if he was here, my husband would say, she's got a full tank of gas, so you better be ready, right? Like she's a full-time job. And those are the type of people that I want to hang with all day long.
And this owner or CEO of CBH Homes, you felt a good connection, and he recruited you over there, and it's 20 years later.
Yeah, we're the yin to the yang for sure. We did it so different than anyone else. When we came together as a team and I came on as the vice president, the only thing we didn't do a contract. We didn't do blah, 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 blah. We're not those people. You know what we did? We said, here's our deal. Are you ready? Between you and me, this is the deal we're going to make to each other. Are you ready? We're going to have fun.
It's critical. It's critical.
And people go, that's your only deal. I'm like, that's our only deal. And we've stuck to that, right? We did 20 years, #1 builder in Idaho, the things that we do. I just think at times, I think people kind of get it wrong on what they're hunting for and what they're searching for. And if they they forget about title and money at times and search for the right people, the right opportunity, things that you're passionate about and you want to have fun, everything else will come.
That's really true.
Because you'll be so good, they can't ignore you. You'll be so good, right?
It's so true. I want to take a pause there for the listeners. As a recruiting firm, we place people in jobs for a living, and so often, I say, okay, well, tell me what you're looking for, and they go, okay, well, I want to be a director in furniture industry, and I need to make 150, and I'm like, okay, well. Yeah, but what about culture? What about people? What is that your passion? Do you really enjoy that? Like, it's so important to have a passion for what you're doing and really love it and have fun with the people you're working for. Like you mentioned, if you can't enjoy hanging out with the people you work with, life sucks.
It's over. It's over. No.
It's just so true, especially in a small company. You really need to enjoy, because you're going to spend more time with them than your family a lot of times.
Right. Right.
And if you don't enjoy them, and that's one of the reasons I love building Riderflex with Scott, my co-founder. I mean, we just have so much fun together. We'll go visit a prospect or something. We're trying to close a deal, and of course, then afterwards we're having beers and laughing and carrying on, and we're just or we're talking to each other about our families or our wives or our kids or whatever, like and that's just so important to be able to do that. I can't stress it enough. It's not just about work. We are human beings, and we have to be able to relate and talk to each other, not just do
fun. We always say around here, one of the main slogans around here is, what's fun got to do with it? Everything.
It's everything. By the way, you do such a great job of highlighting your team. You're very team oriented. You highlight and praise your people throughout so many things you do, whether it's the website or the books or your social media. And some of them been with you for a long time too. I think some of them for like 18 years.
Well, Tara, my, what she called personal cheerleader, that she named herself, by the way.
I like that. I like that title, by the way.
Well, it's because she started with me when she was 16 and she was a cheerleader. And so
That's
she's been with me 23 years, and she really,
Holy cow.
right? Like, and there's several
Holy
people,
cow.
that's, and you're right. What's the African proverb? If you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with others. And so I firmly understand that I can't do this by myself, and that I have to have these amazing humans around me. And plus, it's so much more fun, right? Like you just talked about having a beer and your partners, and right.
Yeah.
And like that is so much more fun than you just sitting in a bar alone drinking a beer. I mean, come on.
You got that right.
Right.
But by the way, Tara, she started with you when she was 16. Mm-hmm. I would not have thought that. Her communication is clean, fast, responsive, very good. And I would have thought she had been with some other companies. So you've mentored her very well. She's been awesome. And I'm sure the rest of your team is too. And one of the books you have pictures and highlights for each team member. Which one is that?
Oh, it's probably it's in the back of Better Human, I bet. I always have. I can't do this. I can't write these books, and I can't do this without all of them.
Oh yeah, totally.
I always want to make sure I always put their pictures in the back, and everyone understand that I need help. I need amazing, magical unicorns to help me bring this to life.
No doubt. You must do a good job of taking care of them, because they stay with you and they support you very well. cbhhomes.com. I wanted to make sure I got the URL out there.
Thank you.
What can I ask you this? I know we're bumping up on time. You got five.
I do. Absolutely. We're having way too much fun.
Okay. Sorry, we're going over. When I was thinking about you, the last few days I was getting ready for this, and I kept asking myself, I'm like, okay, she obviously has a great career with CBH Homes, and that's her passion. That industry is her passion. But she's also an author, a podcast host, a speaker. I don't know, what am I leaving out? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what is the overall motivating factor here? Is her mission to, beyond being successful at CBH Homes? Okay, let's set that aside. Besides being a successful executive at CBH Homes, what is the reason for the other stuff? What is the motivational reason for the books, the podcast, the speaking? Is it because you have all this energy and you want to help people, or what is the reason for it? I guess. Is that a fair question?
No, I think it's a great question. And I get it a lot. I'll be honest with you, because some people are like, good Lord, like, you have a job. Like, what's your problem, lady? Like, take a break already. And I'll tell you what, I think both of them married well together, in my opinion, in the sense that I love humans, and I realize that we all need inspiration and love and energy and smiles. And I believe that in my core. And so, I always start with my team. I start with myself. I start with my team. And then over the years, what I realized is that there were so many other people that need it as well. And I always say, much has been given, much will be expected. Right. So I feel like this is my job. Like, I learned so much from, Nick Saban. I learned so much from reading your book, right? Like, listening, so I always want to keep sharing that and paying that forward. I enjoy it. I love to see people. Like, I always say, I look at humans and I see so much. I wish they would see what I see. I had a coffee yesterday with a really good friend of mine who, just was laid off, and he's going to do really well. And I think it's interesting that sometimes we're our own worst enemies, and we go to the worst, and we think, and it was so funny. I said to him, I just wish you could see what I see. Right. Like, I just wish that you could see. You're so hard on yourself, and you're not, thinking big enough, and you're not giving yourself, credence for everything that you've done and everything that you have in you. So I just feel like that's part of who I'm supposed to be and who I am, is to kind of give out as much love, energy, passion, knowledge as I can, because I want to bring all these people with me, right? Like, when I did Leading Through Extraordinary Times and New Market, New You, all of these, it's because I keep talking and hearing people saying all these things that they're struggling with, all these things that they're frustrated with. So I'm always like, how can I get this out and to try to be of help and love and service? right?
Is some of that driven from your childhood and the lack of motivational love and support and inspiration that you had? You missed a lot of that. Your mother wasn't around.
Yeah.
Your dad wasn't, didn't sound like he was a champion,
No.
necessarily. And so
No.
the lack of that caused you to want to give, give to people that you didn't receive when you were a kid. Is some of it because of that?
I think you're probably right. Like, I think there's some of that. I think I also realized that I had the benefit of understanding that it's all on me and that I could channel it, harness it, go get it, work, make it happen. And that I didn't need all these other things. And I think sometimes you're right. Maybe if you grew up in a really great home and you had everything spoon fed to you a little bit and
Yeah.
everyone told you you're doing great, Johnny and Sarah and let, like there's no ribbons for me. There was no attaboys. There was no, right. Like,
Yeah.
so I realized that, yeah, I want to show people that it's all inside of them and that they can do it.
I do think we're driven that way a lot. I find myself the same. My dad was very much like yours. Like he never said, I never can remember my dad telling me good job. I mean, I called him, and when I got to be president of Healthy Back up in DC, it was about a $40 million company. And I got that job, and I called him in Oklahoma to tell him. And I thought, okay, maybe this is finally the moment where he's going to say, good job or congratulations. I just never got any of that from him. Never, And my point is, I love on my people and my kids, I think, extra, because I didn't get that, right? When my boys were growing up, I mean, I just hugged on them all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I just loved on them all the time,
I love
suffocated them almost because I didn't get it. And that's why I asked you that question.
Yeah.
If you feel a lot of it's you wanting to give because you didn't get a chance to receive. And I admire what you're doing. You're really helping people stay motivated and see positive things about themselves and push forward through struggles. Yeah. All of your stuff is so inspirational. It's interesting that you are such an inspirational, energetic person, considering your background on how you were raised. It's interesting. You have found other leaders to inspire you, and you grabbed onto it and charged forward. I don't know how you do it. You raised 2 kids, you're writing all these books, you're speaking, you do it. What do you ever just chill? Do you ever just relax?
It's funny. I was just in a meeting with a gal, and on her forearm, she had a tattoo and it said "Be chill." And I was like, that's so foreign to me. And that's not true. That's not true. You've heard the joke or the running thing. If you didn't know me outside of this in my life, on the other side of me is an introvert, right? Like, so I'm very much I know I'm a very much family person. So if I'm not here, if not working or creating, I'm with my boys, I'm with my husband, and that's my happy place. And, I'm reading, I'm going for hikes, I'm enjoying, we're traveling. So I have this whole other side that there's a chill side to me that just enjoys that family.
Okay.
But
are you ever in a bad mood? Do you ever wake up in a bad mood, pissed off?
Sure. I'm human, right?
If you do wake up in a bad mood, right here.
Okay. Do you know the Dr. Amen trick? Dr. Daniel Amen, the brain doctor.
No.
So here's the trick. I'm gonna tell everyone, because when you wake up in a bad mood, if you do this, you'll stop. So he's a brain doctor, and he's done 20 million scans and looked at everyone's brain. And so these are his 2 tricks. In the morning, before he gets out of bed, he doesn't open his eyes, and he does this thing. And you go, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. And it's going to be a great day because. So you prime the pump, right? You set your intention for the day, right? So like today, I'm going to be on this podcast. I was so excited. I could barely sleep. I had leadership coffee this morning with my team. I love that. It's one of my favorite days. I got all these things. So when you focus on all the good in your life that's in front of you, that's how you're going to start your day, right? Okay. And then at the end of the day, his trick goes like this. You ask yourself as you're laying there right before you go to sleep, and you say, what went well today? Let's go to sleep on that note, so that when we wake up in the morning, we go get more of that.
I love that.
It's just changing the way you right? Like, that's all you have to do.
I would add a couple of things to that last question here as we wrap up. There will be some people listening to this episode and they're going to go, Okay. Well, Rhonda, you've had it, you've had a great life. You married a great husband. He makes good
Uh-huh,
money. You make good money.
uh-huh.
You've never been divorced. You haven't lost a business. You didn't lose a house. You didn't have a husband that cheated on you. You didn't have wake up with cancer. You didn't have a kid that died. You whatever, right? Like all these things
Yeah,
that happen to people.
yeah.
And they're going to listen to you and be like, "Yeah, man, it's easy for you to be super positive. You didn't
Mhm.
face all the stuff that I'm facing." How do you respond to those people?
I think you're wrong. I think you're dead wrong. I think I gave you the sugarcoat version of my
Okay.
life.
Okay.
And I think you're dead wrong. I think that life is messy. If you want to, if you would want me to share all my dirty laundry, I feel for you. I don't think you could take it. Uh, I really don't. I don't think you can take it. You can list all those things you listed. Don't
Just
matter to
don't.
me. Just
Yeah.
don't. Just don't.
Just don't.
And just don't. And I have to tell you, amore fati. I love it all. I've learned that it's my journey. It's my path. It's also not my journey, my path to dwell in victimhood. It's not my journey or my
There you
path
go. There
to
you go.
judge and decide who has a better life and who doesn't. Right? Like it's not my path. And so I'm here to say, I want us
Good.
all to live a good life. I fully recognize and understand that life is messy and we have
Yes.
almost every one of those things you've listed, I've had and then some. So you're confused. You're dead wrong. I'm just choosing to live differently through it all because I want
That's
to have a
perfect.
really good life.
That's so great. That is so great. That's a great response. And then I want to add in there, I think you say something in the book very similar. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where I think you say something like, "Hey, if you get up and you're breathing, if you get up and you're breathing, like everything after that's kind of gravy." And what I tell people is, I always tell them, I'll say, "Hey, look, here's the thing. Are you breathing? Do you have
Yeah.
shelter, food, water?
Yeah.
Are you breathing? And do you have some love?" Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you have those, everything after that is gravy.
Right. Yeah. It's so true. I did leadership coffee this morning for my team. I do it about once a month and it's purely optional and they come and it's just about us learning together. Right. And obviously it's November. So I focus really heavily on gratitude. I'm a gratitude person. I say thank you all day. I pray all day. It's just who I am. It's just in my nature.
I love it.
And, one of my favorite quotes is Tony Robbins. And if you traded your expectations for appreciation, your whole life would change. And when people have all these expectations of how they think everything should go and
Mm,
be and what they
mm,
should have and what
mm,
they're
mm,
deserved and
mm.
owed. And instead they just flipped that and said, I appreciate all these things in my life, everything would change. But
Yeah.
instead they have all these, and even I'll back to my own father, I have zero expectations of that man, right? I do have gratitude for that man because without him, I wouldn't be here. Right.
See,
And
you're always looking for the positive.
I am,
Man, I really
and
love it.
Amore Fate, I loved everything he put me through because it's who I am today. It's made me strong, resilient, tough, a lover, a fighter, right? I always say, if you want to know you want to cue up my song, everyone has kind of like their song. Mine would be Pat Benatar, hit me with your best shot. Right? Let's go. Let's
Love it.
go. Right.
You should, have you thought about retiring from CBH and just being an international motivational speaker? I mean, you could just do that for a living. I mean, you
No,
could,
I tell you, home building is my jam and my passion.
all right.
These are my people, my tribe. I want to do both. I'm that girl that I want the birthday cake and the ice cream. Let's be honest.
If somebody wants to hire you for speaking engagement, which I would do in a heartbeat, I mean, your passion and positive energy and outlook is just so contagious. If people want to hire you for speaking, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Should they go to
It's rondaconger.com. Best place, rondaconger.com.
Okay. All right. All right. Very good. And you're available for engagements?
I do. I have, yes, I do. I speak all over the nation. I speak to all different groups.
All right. $200,000 per speech?
At least, yes. I like your style, brother.
Are you gonna run for office in Idaho? Are you gonna, what is politics next for you?
No, no, politics
What's
is
the
not.
end goal? What's the
No,
end game?
the politics is not for me. End game, I would just say I want to continue to keep innovating and creating even in home building. Like I get really excited. So I'm always about like this market I love because I get to just blow things up and try new things and do things differently. So I'll continue to be innovative and creative in this space. It's my jam. And then with my speaking and my books and all that, I will continue to bring me to the table and give out as much love, energy, and show people the potential and opportunity that's out there. Right? That's just who I am. That's what it looks like.
I love it, but I think you could be mayor of Boise.
Oh, thank you. No.
No, all right.
I am not politically correct. I'm an HR nightmare, right? I cuss like a sailor. Like I have no rules. I do what the hell I want. No.
I like that. I like that. Governor of Idaho. There it is. Ronda Conger. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah, when you get super famous and you're in the governor's house, then we can be friends. I can come visit the Capitol.
Perfect.
Rhonda, thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, thank you so much. Loved every second. So fun.